Good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to today's Esoteric Influences for the 8th day of, I'm sorry, not the 8th day, the 26th day of August 2020. It's an 8 energy, I should say, an 8 numerology for today. We've talked about this before. 8 is the spiritual warrior within, really. It's the ability to exercise leadership, but in a way that understands the collective nature of things. So it would be the difference between understanding just your own situation in life and your own perspective, and then that of the collective consciousness, even. So you can see the gap that exists there between someone who is just self-focused and someone who's an 8 energy person. If you're on a life path of 8, it describes someone who pursues success, particularly in business, and also wants acknowledgement from others. And so, that's the whole leadership aspect of the 8. But for today, we're going to understand the greater picture at hand and choose harmony and protection over self-interest and assume a leadership role if called. It doesn't feel like it's the time for leaders to just simply it's one thing if a leader emerges, because people have been noticing things they've been doing or saying or what have you, and then all of a sudden they tell other people, and now all of a sudden everybody else knows about the person. That's what I mean about a leader emerging. The other way it happens is, and then you're then called into action. I think that doing it that way versus simply asserting yourself into the situation is probably going to be better right now than just asserting yourself will do. Let people, by your good works, let people understand who you are, in other words, and let them call you to that path. Today the rune is Dagaz, 23rd rune of the Elder Futhark. I'm going to draw this one out for you here. I'll do it right here. Dagaz is a new day. It means all doors are open. The dawn. It's a water element rune. Endings and beginnings, conclusion, daylight, awakening. All doors open. All options available. The idea, you can see, you have a motion that goes this way and then this way. So as one door closes, another opens. One rune master calls this the energy at its saturation point becomes its opposite. But what we're looking at here when we explode it, we're looking at Isa, stillness, alignment and source presence, a Norn rune, the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, on either end terminating, Gebo in the center. And we know from yesterday, because we had Gebo yesterday, it looks like, Gebo explodes into Kenaz in all directions, or the light of spirit. And so it's a purely spiritual energy type of a rune, and really comes down to awakening and transformation. You can think of it as one set of perceptions ending and a new set beginning. Everything in life is perception based anyhow. If you think about this from its genesis of source energy or the creator being all that is, everything you see is an expression of the mind of the creator. So when it gets then, focused into form, it becomes perception, because then you've got ego that comes into play, that sort of wants to supplant or replace spirit as the guiding force in our life. So with Dagaz's energy then today, as one door closes, another opens with all options available. Clarity is strong and we resonate in our awakening to new truth. Pay attention to synchronicities and think outside the box. Now, yesterday, with the human design stuff, it seemed like maybe it had to do with the Postal Service. What we did find out, I don't think anyone has been fired yet, and I said we might want to watch for something like that, but we don't know that that's not happening, those discussions aren't happening behind the scenes. We have states that are now suing the Postal Service, well, the Postmaster General maybe in particular, I don't know. I don't know how they term those things. Sometimes you've got to sue the whole thing instead of just the individual, but sometimes you can sue the individual. But it looks like, I know New York is doing it. I think there's some other states that are doing it as well. So you're going to see the effort to protect the Postal Service from a lot of different fronts, and so maybe some of that had to do with that. And I was just interpreting it maybe a little and giving it maybe a little too much weight. But it could be, we also saw reports that more sorting machines, one brand new one was thrown into the dumpster, and there was a picture of it. Someone said, hey, I guess they tried to put it back together or something, or this might be a different one, but folks tried to put one back together, but there was some critical components that were missing. And so they don't have the ability to go and buy them because it's not going to get approved, right? Because they want them destroyed. All while the Postmaster General says, oh, well, he doesn't know anything about this. You know, aren't you tired of being lied to? I know I am. But with the whole idea of degauss, this may be more of a process than we know. Now that we know that they're still continuing to do the things they said they would stop doing, well, maybe that's going to be part of that whole decision to then hold them accountable. So I think that that's still coming, and it may be happening behind the scenes and we just don't know it. So continue to watch and pay attention and see if this doesn't. And if it's not that, it could be something else. But the idea of it is that it's a big thing. So look for something big to happen, and maybe come to a conclusion so that something else can then happen afterwards. It's that kind of a energetic exchange that we're looking for right now. The moon is in Sagittarius. Explore new experiences today, even if only in a virtual sense. The moon in Sagittarius stimulates us to want to set out on our own adventure. But with the pandemic continuing to affect things, it's necessary now to do that in as safe a manner as possible. A square between the moon and Mercury today indicates that you may feel somewhat indecisive, but do avoid any rash or impulsive behavior that could compromise yours or another's safety. Yeah, I mean, it's like we get tired of being at home, or we get tired of doing this or that, or having to restrict our movements and all of that. And sometimes it feels like you just want to do something and lash out without thinking. Well, don't. Just stay the course here. This is not the time to be losing your losing your resolve. But in any event, let's move on to the human design part of this part of the reading. You may feel pressured to move forward in common cause with others today. However, you need to fully understand the situation before a framework for beginning can be established. Forces wishing to remain in power depend upon secrecy for their survival in their attempt to undermine the outcome as they wait for the right moment to reaffirm their control. But as all factors are considered, the truth will come to light and the path forward will be made clear. Again, looking at what we had yesterday, and I don't have that up any longer here on the screen, but looking at what we were talking about yesterday, it looked like there was some kind of resolution happening that's in protection of our established way of life, is what was coming clear to me. Now, we don't necessarily see these things come to fruition on the day that it seems like it's happening, but that doesn't mean that momentum is not going in that way. So pay attention and see what happens here. It looks like it's something really big. So if that's true, then I think we're going to find that out. But sometimes, it plays out in the way that it does behind the scenes, so that the people that they're trying to catch in the act basically don't try to circumvent some kind of responsibility from happening. They need to be held accountable, and you can't always go at that straightforward. You have to maybe sometimes come around the backside of them so that they don't see you coming. And that's, they continue to do their nonsense, and they don't see any reason to stop. Only thing is it just makes the situation even that more clear, right? And I think seeing the reports of the one sorting machine in the dumpster, that's telling everybody, yeah, they're not going to stop. Okay, I don't care what they say, they're not going to stop. They're lying. And so that's kind of the energy that we're looking at. And so again, just pay very close attention and see when this stuff starts to manifest, because I think it's still going to do that. we're just not exactly sure when we try to interpret this stuff how quickly it's going to take place, or if what we're really talking is about the genesis of it. So in any event, I guess that's it. That's all I got for today. And we'll talk again tomorrow. And I'll go ahead and do the Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune, for which, whatever reason, it took so long to process. I forgot to publish it, so I published it this morning. So I'm sorry about that. It's not going to appear on the left side panel. Today's will, so over there at the blog. But this will. So anyway, we'll talk tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask if you go out around anybody, inside or outside. Wear a mask. And blessed be.